So last week we talked about Joshua chapter 1 and Joshua chapter 2, about how he was leading the children of Israel into the promised land. Now, you need to go back and you need to read that. Don't just go by what I'm saying, but Joshua 1 and 2 talks about how Joshua is getting the orders to now lead this new generation. Remember, the old generation is gone. They didn't think right. They complained too much. They wanted to go back to Egypt into slavery and bondage and debt, and they didn't want change. They wanted to retreat. So now this new generation, it's actually mentally prepared to cross over into the Jordan. They had like a big river that was at flood stage. Kind of see the river behind me, and they had to actually walk into that. Now we today have bridges and freeways to cross over rivers, but back then they had to just go through it. And at flood stage, that's a dangerous stage. So there was a risk that they had to take of their own life to cross into that. Now the formula that God gave Joshua was the priests had to go first. Now there's a spiritual law about that. You know, if you're going to go into something new, you want to make sure that you're partnered or connected with with the ministry, a man of God, woman of God that's going to speak in your life and cross over with you. Now, risk taking it'll set you up for failure if you don't know that, and you know that God's behind it. God has to be behind the risks that we take, or else they're just futile. We're going to bomb. So God said, okay, I want the priests to get the Ark of the Covenant, put it on your shoulders, walk into the water. When your feet touch the water, they're going to split. And then it's all going to open up, and you're going to find yourself on the other side. Now, there's some truths I want to bring out, so I might actually take one more week to do this. But let me hit a couple things here. Out of all the tribes that God was calling to go into the promised land, there was actually two that said, you know what, we don't want to go over there. We're okay with the desert. We're okay with what we have here. And they actually just wanted to settle. They didn't want to cross over. They wanted to settle. So they asked Joshua for permission, and Josh said, well, okay, let's see what happens here. And God gave the order saying, this is the deal. If they don't want to go over, they can stay here and settle, but they still have to go over with their brothers, and they have to fight with them. Once they fight with them, when all the fighting's done, then they can come back. And there's a lot of people that you prematurely settle thinking that it's going to be easier, when in fact it's not easier. You had to have the same battles anyway, but the difference was you did not get the reward. The reward is for those that take a step of faith and say, I'm just going to do this because I feel God telling me to do it, and I'm going to go forward. It's not for those that say, well, we're okay over here, but, I'll go help you. But I have to go help you. I have to get behind you, but I'm not going to get any of that reward. I got to come back to what I have. And there's so many people, they just settle. They don't want anymore. They say they're tired. They say they don't have the education. They say that they have no more fighting, or they have health issues, or whatever issues. Maybe they're bound in debt, or whatever it might be. They can't go over there because they're not capable of handling the reward, but they still have to fight. Now let's get some truths out here about this. When you cross into the promised land, there's giants over there that you're going to have to battle. They had to fight giants. They had to fight wild animals. They had to fight other kingdoms. There was the walls of Jericho. They had to come down. There was other places, other tribes out there they had to fight. So there's no doubt the promised land will come with problems. But if it's your purpose, that's part of it. It's all about the daily walk, the daily battles, and actually getting through those. And when you take steps of faith, you're going to have those battles, but the reward will be waiting for you. And not only that, the promise of God. God told Joshua, you already got the promised land. I'm going to give you everything, but you have to exercise and get out there and do it. So don't find yourself settling, because you're going to have the battles anyway. You're still going to have to fight giants. You're still going to have to fight the walls of Jericho. You're still going to have to fight. But you'll disqualify yourself from the reward. So don't do that. Right now in your heart, say, okay, I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to settle for poverty. I'm not going to settle for debt. I'm not going to settle for sickness. I'm not going to settle for is risk involved. A lot of people, they're afraid of one thing. The reason they don't take risks is there's one thing that holds them back, and that's their fear of failure. Now, behind me is a vast river and some open land, and on the other side is reward. Fear of failure can stop you from crossing over. But can you let this sink in your spirit and in your heart? If you choose not to go over and take a risk, you're already failing. Settling is failure. One thing that I've learned in my life is I've learned how to fail. I've failed in business, I've failed in ministry, I've failed in different other things. And because I recognize that what the Bible says, that a righteous man falls 7 times but he rises again, I've mastered failure. In other words, I don't let failure stop me. It's just another way that doesn't work, so there's got to be a way that's going to work. So, because I've mastered failure, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm okay. I'm not afraid. Let's go do it. Let's take a risk. Let's try this. God called us from the pulpit to production, and all of a sudden He's given us this industry of entertainment to conquer. And my gosh, is it a huge mountain? And it's like, how are we going to do this? While sitting around and talking about it ain't going to get nothing done. We have to put some things in action. So, is there fear of failure? Yeah, but I fail so much. So what if I fail? I'm going to be obedient, and I'm going to take this mountain. There's things I have to do. I'm going to make movies. I'm going to write TV shows. We're going to make some commercials. We're going to make some music videos, and I'm not talking about faith-based or Christian stuff. God's called us into the world, into the kingdom, not just to entertain saints. So we're going to get into the world, not be of it, but into it. Now, all that is going to come with a lot of risk. Will there be failures? Yes, there will be. Will it cost us money? Yes, there will be. Will it cost us other things? Probably. But I'm not afraid to fail. If God's called me to take it, I'm going to go for it. And in the midst of it, giants and animals and lions and mountains and all whatever it takes, oh my, we're going to go for it because we're not afraid of failure. So don't stop the purpose God has in your life. No matter how loud airplanes might be or what distractions might come your way, you make sure that whatever you set your mind to do, you know that it's God, you do it. Take the promised land. Don't settle. Don't be afraid of failure. Everybody fails. But the ones that succeed are the ones that say, I'm going to do it anyway, no matter if I fail or not. I will succeed with God. So take that in your heart. Read Joshua chapter 1 and chapter 2. Look at the principles there. And recognize that God's calling you to take a risk. And I don't want to fill in the blanks for you, because every single one of us has a different challenge in our lives. But whatever your challenge might be, your promise and your reward is waiting for you. Don't settle, because you're going to have to battle anyway. So you might as well take the risk and battle for the reward, because God has it waiting. He wants you to succeed. He wants you to succeed. Get that in your heart. He wants you to be blessed. He wants you to succeed. Now, I'm not talking about materialism. I'm talking about you fulfilling your purpose for the kingdom. He wants you to do that. So make sure you focus and you know what you want. You cross the river and you go for your reward. We'll talk about giants next week. Lord, I pray for everyone listening. Speak to their hearts. Make it clear what their challenge is. Make it clear what their giants might be. Stir them up. Don't let them get satisfied with the desert. I pray that they get a hunger and a thirst for greater things, because you've called them to take the promised land, Lord. As we take a step